Kia ora, good evening, I'm Hannah Wilkins. Road closures, flooding and power outages spread across Dunedin earlier this week as strong winds and heavy rain lashed the city. The City Council mobilised in preparation with the worst of the weather passing by afternoon, although more rain was forecast.
After a heavy rain warning was issued yesterday, locals in Dunedin worked quickly getting prepared for the weather bomb. City gutters were cleaned and volunteers picked up shovels to make up sandbags in case of heavy flooding, including Mayor Jules Raddick. Monday morning did see incidences of surface flooding around the city, but the rain wasn't as heavy as expected, with the 120 km/h gales being the bigger issue for Dunedin. Power was cut in many areas, including to almost 500 people in the suburb of Waverley. Fire crews were kept busy all morning, with reports of power lines going down across the city. The strong winds tore through the printed scrim covering the railway station redevelopments. There were also reports of trampolines flying through the air, the wind even ripping this 35-year-old tree straight out of the ground. The wild weather spread across the Otago region, with many parts of the Clutha district also without power, and widespread flooding across roads causing closures. In Dunedin, the South today.
Otago regional councillors have agreed to continue discussions around the use of karakia, or Māori prayer, to open and close their regular meetings. The debate was sparked after Councillor Kevin Malcolm walked out of a recent meeting, objecting to what he described as the imposition of karakia on the council.
This small group of protesters standing in solidarity outside the Otago Regional Council's temporary meeting rooms with the message "Honour Te Tiriti." Councillor Kevin Malcolm walked out of the meeting earlier this month, claiming at the time the use of karakia to open ORC meetings was being imposed on the council with no prior discussion. But protesters saw the walkout as a step backwards.
Quite disheartening for tangata whenua and for mana whenua to see things expressed like this and having all the media attention around it.
Current standing orders at the ORC allow the chairperson discretion over opening and closing a meeting with a karakia, a protocol which has been embraced by current chair Gretchen Robertson. Yesterday's agenda included a paper opening up the topic for further discussion.
We need to respect that there are people on so many different parts of the journey, and that if you and I want those people to steer that waka in the right direction, we have to use different methods.
Kevin Malcolm joined most other councillors in accepting the discussion paper. However, Councillor Michael Laws was the sole objector, voting against the motion to note the paper, and maintains protocol changes are being imposed on the council. In Dunedin, the South today.
A ceremony was held in Invercargill last week, marking the release of a new book about Sir Tim Shadbolt. Authored by local woman Helen Campbell, the tribute compiles messages, drawings and photos, alongside stories from the former mayor himself.
An homage to an iconic Kiwi, eternalised in hardcover. This book, celebrating the lifetimes and legacy of Sir Tim Shadbolt, was presented to the former Invercargill mayor during a ceremony at Waverley Park School. The written tribute contains messages, images and stories collated by local woman Helen Campbell, who wanted to honour Sir Tim's years of service.
It's absolutely wonderful. It's ticked the box big time. It's achieved everything I hoped.
School pupils welcomed Sir Tim with waiata, while Deputy Principal Helen Kennedy shared some passages from the book. One included tales of the iconic concrete mixer Sir Tim towed behind his Daimler and his historic debates with Sir Robert Muldoon. Sir Tim was also presented with a bouquet of flowers and a mailbag of letters from the community, the ceremony finishing with a powerful haka.
I've never really had a tribute. I've had columns, I've had leaflets. I was very moved by it, and they put a lot of thought and historical knowledge. And
Sir Tim's family also attended the ceremony, and his son Declan was thrilled to see his father recognised.
I felt very proud to see his legacy be cherished in this lovely place. I think it's just wonderful on how people are celebrating his long legacy.
The warm tribute honouring Sir Tim's 3 decades of service to Southland, with the hopes of publishing the book for the public in future. In Invercargill, the South today.
A Dunedin family have walked the length of the country together while recovering from a traumatic loss. The adventurous whānau recently completed their journey, arriving to a warm welcome in Bluff.
Relief, tears and laughter, an emotional celebration as the adventure of a lifetime comes to an end. Tanya and Jason Henwood have hiked the length of the country with their children Briar and Nikita to honour Tanya's mother, Wendy Fraser. Fraser died in hospital after a series of mishandled procedures. The family have been sharing their experience along the way, advocating for improved patient care.
Yeah, it was quite traumatic and it affected our family quite a lot, and I think we all just needed to reconnect with each other and I think have a bit of a faith in society again.
The Dunedin family faced many difficulties on the 6-month journey from Cape Reinga to Bluff, but both parents are proud of their kids' determination.
It's been a pretty epic journey actually. Both kids have actually grown so much through the journey, and spending some time with the family has been just really pretty awesome.
They're just ordinary kids that have done a very extraordinary thing.
The younger hikers weren't sure what to think of the journey's end.
A bit weird.
Yeah, I think it's weird.
Hard to explain.
I'm going to stay here. If you want to walk somewhere else,
I don't want to. We're not going to walk, but it's just a funny feeling. Your feet feel like they can just continue.
No, we're not going there.
Tanya is certain her mother would be thrilled at the effort and hopes sharing their story might lead to better communication and medical care. The bittersweet finish to a significant chapter for the family. Their next step to enjoy a well-earned rest. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Wanaka held a successful Relay for Life last weekend, with supporters from around Otago joining together to support the fundraiser for the Cancer Society.
Bright colours, bright smiles and bagpipes. The Wanaka Relay for Life was launched with enthusiasm on Saturday, with teams dressed in colourful clothing, gathering to walk laps of Pembroke Park. The non-stop relay around the small park ran over 20 hours, supporting the Cancer Society and those in the central Otago community fighting the disease. Event coordinator Nicole Rushbrook says it's an important cause and one that touches many people in the community.
It's really important to support these people, what they're going through. I think I can speak for myself and a lot of other people have been through it, where they've got people they loved that have died from cancer.
Teams were formed for the relay through local businesses, schools and family and friends. Ambassador and cancer warrior Andrew Thompson was among the volunteers helping out.
These beautiful people, every single one of them, is doing this Relay for Life. 20 hours of walking around quite a small circle. A few of them are going to get dizzy. If I've been here before, it'd be like a goldfish in a bowl.
Thompson's diagnosis of pancreatic cancer in 2020 was a tough time, but he was grateful for the support of the Cancer Society, a cause now very close to his heart.
Just the thing of this, people going step by step, remembering their whānau, their family, supporting those with cancer, and fighting a fight that will be won and is being.
The event ran across Saturday and Sunday, with more than 100 participants raising over $21,000 over the weekend for the Cancer Society. Their regional fundraising efforts are set to continue until the end of April. In Wanaka, the South Today.
Yakane, still to come on the South Today. Dunedin painted the town green, with students out and about celebrating St Patrick's Day from the crack of dawn. And Central Otago's acclaimed wine and food took centre stage in Wanaka at a familiar festival with a new name. Tēnā koe, welcome back. A sea of green could be seen all over Dunedin last Friday, with St Patrick's Day celebrations getting into full swing. Students were out from the early hours of the morning kicking off the festivities, with a heavy police presence working to keep things orderly.
Hundreds of students, all dressed in green, filling the field at a North Dunedin lookout and starting the party early. Dunedin students started their St Patrick's Day celebrations in the early hours of this morning with a liquid breakfast. By lunchtime, Castle Street was packed full of students in green outfits, getting into a local version of the Irish tradition.
Wake up, get ready, drink, have fun.
A bit hectic, we move.
Lots of people, yeah.
St Paddy's and we're Ninja Turtles, repping it.
With celebrations happening all across the city, police were out patrolling the major party areas in an effort to keep everything under control.
So far it's been good. Police have been out and about since 7 a.m. speaking and getting amongst the students. No arrests so far, just having conversations with them and talking to them about their day.
At the other end of town, local Irish pubs welcomed a steady stream of patrons coming in to celebrate the holiday, many making their way to the traditional Irish establishments to enjoy a quiet pint of Guinness. In Dunedin, the South Today.
The world came to Invercargill last week as the Southland Multicultural Food Festival took place. The event bringing together all manner of people for a taste of more than just food.
Sweet and savoury goods on offer at the Southland Multicultural Food Festival over the weekend. Invercargill's cultural diversity on show as mouth-watering smells filled ILT Stadium. The event was enjoyed by both public and stallholders.
Yes, I like everything. The people is very nice.
Fantastic, you know, the music and dance. They're so intrigued as to what you're selling. And
well, my favourite part of the day was probably looking at all the cultures' food.
Atmosphere and just a bit more lively than just standing there somewhere. So yeah, it's quite exciting to be here.
It also makes it more fun.
Over 30 countries were represented at the different stalls, with thousands attending the event throughout the day. This included the Mayor of Invercargill, Nobby Clark, who expressed his support for the festival and an enthusiasm for more local cultural events like it.
This is the future of our country, it really is. Yeah, fabulous, absolutely fabulous. Even though the chili's a bit hot for me, lips are a little bit numb at times.
Food wasn't the only thing served up, the festival showcasing a wide range of cultural performances as well. The event's organisers were thrilled with the positive atmosphere.
If you just look down there, you can just see everybody's happy. Like, absolutely everyone is happy. There's not a sad face in the whole crowd. Well, maybe those guys down the end who are waiting at the end of the line for the American Flaming Barbecue. But yeah, it's just a really happy event.
The diversity of Southland bringing people together and leaving a good taste in their mouths. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Thousands gathered in Wanaka last weekend to enjoy the best food and drinks from around the region. The Ripe Wine and Food Festival enjoyed a successful year as it continues to grow, shining a light on the range of local talent they have on display.
Wanaka littered with deck chairs and picnic blankets as people enjoy what Central Otago has to offer. The Ripe Wine and Food Festival was held for the second time on Saturday, celebrating the world-class wine producers of Central Otago. Around 3,000 people from across the south attended the boutique event, bouncing back after being cancelled last year due to COVID-19.
So the people have been missing it, obviously, and yeah, we picked the perfect day, and yeah, everyone's having a good time, so we're happy.
He created the event in 2021 to bring attention to the amazing wine industry they have in the region. But with plenty of food stalls and live entertainment, it shines a light on a wider range of local talent.
And also set in this beautiful picturesque Wanaka location, showing off Central Otago, showing off some local musicians, everyone having a good time.
The Wanaka Festival was moved to Glendhu Station this year, and following the event's success, organisers have decided to continue hosting at the location next year. In Wanaka, the South Today.
New Zealand's first international sail GP event drew thousands of spectators to Littleton Harbour recently for some supercharged sailboat racing. But some local businesses say they're disappointed after being promised financial boost from the event, which failed to eventuate.
Organisers behind the inaugural Sail Grand Prix in Canterbury have promised to review the event following a mixed verdict from Littleton's residents and businesses. Thousands of spectators filled the official fan zone and lined the shoreline over the weekend to watch some of the world's best sailors battle it out in Littleton Harbour.
Well, I think we're just incredibly proud to be racing in front of home fans. It's been a long time with us travelling to the other side of the world, racing at some pretty horrendous time zones if you're a Kiwi supporter to watch us live, and we're just super excited by the support we've got.
There was plenty of high-speed action, with the Canadian team pipping New Zealand for line honours. Australia remained comfortable at the top of the overall leaderboard, 11 points ahead of New Zealand, with France and Great Britain close behind. However, some of the town's businesses say the high sporting interest didn't translate into increased patronage, blaming the ban on non-residents' cars using the Littleton Tunnel and arterial roads. Meanwhile, the Sale GP village had its own catering facilities and hospitality outlets. The region's economic development agency, Christchurch, New Zealand, estimates the event was watched by millions of viewers worldwide. The weekend's racing had the potential to attract 10,000 visitors to Littleton and inject $28 million into the New Zealand economy. The Canterbury round of Sale GP was the first of a 4-year commitment to New Zealand by the Global Sailing League, with racing set to head to Auckland next time in 2024. In Christchurch, the South today.
Dunedin's Fringe Festival is into its final days, with a wide variety of shows and experiences on offer. Actor Hamish Annan has created an interactive show with a difference, using his ability to display emotions physically to draw out reactions from members of his audience.
Auckland performance artist Hamish Annan is bringing his unique award-winning performance to the Dunedin Fringe Festival. Access is a semi-interactive piece exploring a range of human emotions in an effort to get you to become vulnerable and really feel them.
It's almost a mindful exercise in some ways, right? The invitation is to, rather than clench and hold and squeeze everything and not feel, is to kind of relax a little bit around it and let it move through you.
Annan's taken his show across the country, winning the prestigious New Zealand Fringe Touring Award. Audience members get to choose the emotional dynamic they want to experience, with Annan using his body's physical responses to emotions to draw out a reaction.
Uncomfortability is a part of this performance, right? Being able to sit inside an experience that maybe is kind of a bit confronting or a bit unusual or a bit uncommon.
Reporter Tim Scott chose 3 different emotions for his preview experience, admitting surprise at not being able to fully control what he felt. It's up to audience members whether they get involved and immerse in the one-on-one aspect, but Scott believes no matter what level you choose, the production will still invoke emotions.
If you're sitting by the sidelines, you're still going to be involved and still get to see the emotional display. So whether you're sitting in the chair or sitting in the stands, you're still going to be just as much a part of it.
Hamish Annan will perform Access over the next 3 nights at new cafe and art venue Yours in Upper Moray Place. In Dunedin, the South today.
Whai Yakane, still to come on Southern Newsweek. Pro tennis players band together to fundraise for a young up-and-comer in Queenstown, and guide dogs are in the spotlight, with one Invercargill woman sharing her story ahead of the annual appeal. Tēnā koe, welcome back. An up-and-coming tennis player from Queenstown has set his sights on the Junior Davis Cup. Last weekend, pro players swung into action to help launch the potential star's rapidly growing career overseas.
Swinging for the top, the young Queenstown tennis prospect Kai Milburn has come back from a strong win at the Otago Open. Now he's calling on help to take his career to the next level. The Queenstown Tennis Club is rallying to support the 16-year-old. They're holding a fundraising tournament at the Garden Courts this Saturday.
So basically there's going to be 8 pro players that'll be auctioned to start with. So people are going to pay money to play with those pro players.
The aim is to raise $10,000 to get Melbourne overseas. Entry fees will be donated to the cause, and the club will also host a number of silent auctions. The International Tennis Federation are contributing a $12,500 grant towards travel and accommodation, as Melbourne aims to raise his under-18 ranking points by competing in Australia and Japan.
Currently I got picked to play for the under-16 Junior Davis Cup, and last year I represented New Zealand to play against Australian states.
Milburn will be heading to Canberra to get practice on a clay court before heading off to represent New Zealand in Kazakhstan at the Junior Davis Cup later this year. In Queenstown, the South today.
Collectors have been on the streets this week raising money for the annual Guide Dog Puppy Appeal. Southland resident Samara Guttary has low vision and knows firsthand just how life-changing the support of a guide dog can be.
Going for a walk is a lot easier than it used to be for Samara Guttary since she was paired up with guide dog Carly almost 3 years ago. The Invercargill resident's been living with low vision since age 9 and says she found her canine companion opened her world in more ways than she can count.
I couldn't distinguish where a doorway was in a building. She just finds the doorway. So I don't, if I'm going somewhere new that I don't know, I feel confident doing that by myself. So yeah, that's probably the best thing. And just the companionship at home, company, yeah.
Training guide dogs has been an important part of the work by the Blind Low Vision New Zealand organisation for more than 130 years. But finding the right match between dog and handler can take time. Only a third of puppies manage to pass the rigorous 2-year training to become guide dogs. But those efforts are well worth it.
When I was younger, I used to always say to my parents, because we had labs, I wish we could train our dog to help me get around as a joke. And then I just started looking into whether you could get a guide dog. And I couldn't believe it when they said that I was eligible.
The Guide Dog Puppy Appeal runs over March, with a 2-day nationwide street appeal later in the month. Funds raised this year will go towards building a new fit-for-purpose kennel for guide dogs in training, assisting in raising more dogs like Carly. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Another Dunedin cafe and live venue is sad to be closing its doors after failing to find a buyer for the business. The closure comes as yet another blow to the city's live music scene, but owners say it's not too late for someone to step up and continue the legacy.
Bright red walls with groovy decor, soon to be silent. After failing to sell the business last year, the Dog with Two Tails will be forced to shut its doors for the last time. The Central Dunedin cafe turned bar has been a hotspot for local artists for years, with frequent live music, poetry and stand-up comedy gigs. After struggling with finances, the business was put on the market for around 6 months, to no prevail.
The hope is that someone else sees the place and can see that it has lots of potential and will open it up as something new and better.
When the pandemic heaped rising costs onto the hospitality industry, the venture became one of many venues struggling to keep up.
About 2.5 weeks left, so we are hoping to stay open hopefully for the 1st of April, which is Saturday, so hopefully we'll see out that final week and have a leave-in shindig.
Dunedin's live music scene is already under pressure. This closure seen as yet another blow for local musicians. But Churcher is still optimistic about the future.
One of our main goals was to support young artists, and so if someone else can do that in the same space, totally on board.
The venue's last night is set to be Saturday the 1st of April, with the team hoping to have one last hurrah. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Hundreds of keen school children have been keeping active with a combined sports day in Alexandra, competing in a variety of sports.
Kids were sprinting, jumping and showing their skills on the green grass. The Dunstan Zone Athletics Day was held at Alexandra's Molyneux Park, involving a number of schools from around the region. The children competed in a range of athletic events, including long jump, discus, shot put, hurdles, sprints, relays and high jump. Event coordinator Mike Dalgleish was pleased with the success of the event, which gets kids outside.
All the teachers and all the parents and the barbecue people and the helpers and that, because that's what makes this day happen. I mean, and they all run it, and just seeing the kids back into something now since COVID. It's good, some normality perhaps.
Almost 400 school children took part in the Athletics Day, with the winners going on to compete at the Central Otago Athletic Championships at the end of the month. In Alexandra, the South Today.
That wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news and videos from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz. And you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube, the South Today NZ on Facebook, and you can catch all our news bulletins on demand. We'll see you again next week. Mā te wā.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.